Hello and welcome to the Rask Network. What you're about to hear and see is limited to general financial information only. Please be sure to speak to your financial planner or refer to our financial services guide available at rask.com.au/FSG before acting on the information.
Welcome back to the Australian Business Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Zara, who's just had a coffee at 5 o'clock.
I'm good. I had a coffee because we had a guest and I wanted to have a bit of a burst. And I have a drive ahead, an hour and a half drive ahead. So I need to get home and, alive.
Yeah, true.
In one piece.
True. So good luck with that.
Yeah. So now I have a bit of an energy burst. So this will be an interesting episode.
Excellent. We're talking about workflow automation.
Yes, we are.
We're talking about workflow automation, but more so streamlining operations and just focusing on efficiencies. A lot of the times as business owners, we have repeating tasks and we just want to try and automate as much of it as possible, reduce all the manual work and improve the overall efficiency of everything.
Yep, absolutely. So I guess for people that don't know, what is workflow automation?
I think it's being able to use technology to help with those repetitive tasks. Tasks that we're doing on the daily. It could be invoicing for accountants, reconciling transactions in the marketing space. If you have a client on a retainer, you're doing that same task, being able to have that come up so you don't have to manually do checklists and all of that type of stuff. So just focusing on technology to automate all the repeatable tasks so there's no manual labor involved or as minimal manual labor as possible.
Yeah. And I guess in terms of benefits that come out of that, obviously thinking about improved efficiency and that kind of thing. But I guess going much deeper, you've sort of got cost savings as a part of it as well. Reducing hours, you can be kind of reducing the amount of time and money that's spent on those repetitive tasks. I guess reducing errors as well. Yeah,
for sure. It takes away that human element.
Yeah.
Whether that's good or bad, that's really up for debate.
I mean, I guess it depends on the task, right?
Yeah.
If you can kind of streamline and...
if you can really streamline it and focus, get all those low value tasks done or automated, then it allows your staff or even yourself as a business owner to focus on that high level strategic stuff.
And I guess it can also improve the consistency and the quality of that work, because I guess the benefit sometimes of having a human is the relationship. But if it's a task that doesn't necessarily need to be reliant on that relationship, then you're ensuring that the quality of work is always the same.
Yeah, it's consistent.
So I guess maybe going back to some of those tasks in terms of suitability of automated tasks, data entry, invoicing, like what other ideas or...
I think you can really apply it across the board. I think even in the different functions of the business, you'd be able to automate tasks on the operation side of things, on the marketing side of things, sales, HR, finance, customer service. It really is unlimited. And an example for some of these things on the sales side of things, well, if you have a meeting with someone, a sales meeting, cool, great, you can set up emails to automatically go to them. You don't have to manually go in and follow it up. Or if it's the finance side of things, if you have a client that's on a recurring service, you can automate the invoices. All the software allows you to send out automatic recurring invoices.
Yeah, and I guess like data entry, social media kind of scheduling as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, maybe not necessarily some of the roles that might not necessarily make sense would be if it required like human judgment or like intense creativity. But I guess in terms of like thinking about marketing, if you were someone that was wanting to post every day, it's quite manual to kind of create that content every day and put it up manually every day. But if you can kind of batch create that content and schedule it to go out over a 28-day period, that's saving you a whole chunk of time as well.
Yeah, for sure. My favorite one is asking for reviews, like automating that process too. Once you've finished doing the work, whatever the work is, have an automated review sequence. I think a lot of the time people hear about automation and AI and these buzzwords and they think, it's just for big business, but it really isn't. I think personally that small businesses reap the biggest rewards from implementing this stuff.
Yeah,
I really do. Because like I said, you can apply it for all of your repetitive tasks across all the different functions of the business.
And I guess it's the initial time that's invested in setting up that automation. Like invoicing, for example, going in, getting the right software, setting up the invoicing software, getting your branding in there, getting your services in there, getting all your client details, the billing schedule. But then once it's in, you don't have to think about it for the lifetime of that client.
Exactly. And I think it's at the start, it's hard because it's like, where do I even start?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to be able to identify the processes that that are ready for automation. There's a few different ways to do that. I think for me, the best way to do it is just you really want to identify those repetitive tasks, the ones that have heaps of high volume.
Yep.
And the way you can do that is whiteboard it, or even on a piece of paper. Just if you want to start with the sales process, or if you want to start with the marketing process, start brainstorming the things that you find that you're doing constantly. And it's the same for across the board for all your clients, or whether it's internally for all the staff, and just start jotting them down on the whiteboard or even on a piece of paper. It's stuff that requires minimal decision making, and it's just like easy, but it's like, oh, I've got to do that. It's you're going to find that it's going to take you an hour or 2 hours to do it, to automate, because you're going to have to do the research, see if the software talks to each other. And sometimes it can just be for a 2-minute task, and you're like, oh, it's not worth it. But that 2-minute task over 2-3 years is super substantial. So invest the time to go in there and automate it, especially for the high volume tasks. If it's transactions, if it's invoicing, whatever it is, you just want to invest the time so you can get it all done. Set and forget, revisit it every month or 2 months to make sure it's not broken. That's something that I think needs to be scheduled as well. Like, yes, it's set and forget, but you have to make sure it's not broken, because that does happen sometimes. If you're using Zapier or Maker, is that the other one? Make. You need to go in and check and make sure it's still working.
So I know with Inflection, like we have just transitioned our invoicing software from one platform to another. And Daniel was awesome in helping me set that up. But again, the initial time in setting up that invoicing software, so we're using Ignition now. The initial time in setting that up, it took a lot.
Yes.
And there was, trial and error, and things were sent out when they shouldn't have been sent out
to everyone,
to everyone, to all of our clients. But that's all right. Lucky we have good relationships with them, and we could say sorry. But in saying that, it has made it so much easier. It's not something I have to think about anymore until we get a new client on board. But then that process is like, we add their details in. We've got our proposals set up. We've got, all of our systems are the same. And it's just about selecting everything that's tailored to that specific client and then automating it to send out. Yeah,
it's so true. And that's a really good example of two things, right? It's like signing a engagement letter or a proposal. That's now automated. All of the services are pre-populated, so you don't need to go in there and change it every time. That's a very common thing. And then payments automatic as well. So you don't need to go in, send out invoices. If payment bounces, it'll automatically reschedule itself. So you've eliminated accounts receivable, like the whole a whole position in a business. A small to medium sized business is now gone, and you have no debtors, which is huge in small business. Sometimes people are owed huge amounts of money, and it can really kill a business. Whereas that is like probably the one thing, that's probably where I would start personally. It's like, try and automate that function. If your business is a service-based business and you can get your clients on direct debit, that is huge. And now I understand some businesses aren't going to be able to do that because you just can't. But that's fine. Don't just stop there. Have a think and be like, okay, cool. Well, if I'm going to send out an invoice, have I got automated reminders sent out? Because that makes a huge difference. Have I got a collection process? Can I automate that? So don't think, I can't do that. That's not the mindset you want to be in for this stuff.
And so I guess it would probably be worth us diving into, and we've touched on a little bit, some of the tools that you can use. So obviously there's different invoicing software that's really helpful in terms of, Bonsai and Ignition and those kinds of things. But then some of the other ones that we've talked about, like Zapier and Make. So if you have like a CRM system and you have, your invoicing system, and they natively don't talk to one another, you can use these external tools, which is Zapier, which is Make, Integromat, and they all kind of come together and they talk between these two different kind of systems and platforms, and they share the information across. So even though you might think that, I'm using ActiveCampaign, it doesn't natively integrate with X, there's a way that you can always make it happen.
And if anyone isn't familiar with Zapier or Make, I'd strongly suggest jumping on their websites. I'm a bit more familiar with Zapier. I haven't used Make too much, but I know you have, Zara. For anyone who wants to dive in, jump on the Zapier website and type in the software you use, and it literally tells you all the automations you can do. So it's super easy now. Is Make the same?
Pretty much. Make's really good. Very similar to Zapier. It's a little bit more visual, which
like a mind map type of
step. Kind of like a Miro board. You can kind of build it out that way, which is really nice. It's much more visual, which if you're a visual person, it's easy to kind of see that flow of information. Zapier is great, essentially the exact same functionality. It's just a preference thing. And I've used both and I'm preferring Make.
Yeah? Why is that?
I think it's the visual component.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's like, you know, in Zapier, it's kind of like, this is your thing. And there's like a little arrow and then that's the next step that happens. Whereas in Make, it's got the icon of the program that you're integrating. It shows you where it's sending the information and you can have multiple different avenues of information or pathways essentially. So like if, you know, a lead comes into your business, maybe you're using WordPress or WooCommerce or something, a lead comes into your business and then that's kind of the information stored here. From there, I can send something to ActiveCampaign, which is our CRM system. I can also send a notification to our Slack channel, which is our internal communication system, to let everyone know that we've had a new lead come into the business. And then I can also, in that same kind of all at that same time, I can then send a notification or a piece of information to Monday, which we use as our project management, and it sets up a new client on that project management software. So again, all of that would have been manual in the past. We would have got a lead. I would have had to manually tell the team that we've got a new discovery call booked in. I would have manually kind of had to lock that time in with a client and use Calendly and those kinds of things. I would have then had to manually kind of create something in our ActiveCamp, or it would have automatically gone into ActiveCampaign, but Monday, our project management software, it's all automated.
Yeah.
So now if someone books a discovery call with us, it is automatically a client goes into our ActiveCampaign. It also then gets triggered to our Slack channel. So then everyone can kind of see, hey, Zara's got a discovery call with, you know, Jordan from Grayspace at this time on this day. You know, and it automatically sends it to our project management software in our little kind of dashboard that says new leads coming into the business.
Yeah. And that would save so much time.
So much time. So much. It sounds like, you know, obviously as you kind of talk out that process, you can kind of understand that it is quite a lengthy process. Initially, you might be like, oh, all I have to do is just add them into this project software. But if you're doing that, if you're getting, you know, 20, 30 leads a week, could take you 10 minutes per lead. That's a lot of time.
Yeah, that's right. And we get pinned in Slack as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. This has come through. So if you have a sales team and if you want to be reactive to that, get on the phone straight away, call them, hey, saw this, and it's like that prospective lead is like, oh, wow, that was quick. I filled out a type form or a form on the website and they've called me in 5 minutes. So like, it's really a non-negotiable. If you've got a website, you want to set all of these things up. And in terms of the project management tools, I know you spoke about it. There's Monday, Asana, Trello. We've spoken about all of these tasks before. These task management systems before. And there's a lot of industry-specific ones. And a lot of the times they're not going to naturally integrate. And that's where you need Zapier. That's when you need Make. Like the trade-specific software, whatever it may be. If it's SimPro, if it's ServiceMate, there's heaps of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think sometimes when we talk about this stuff, you know, there's a risk of over-automation and overcomplicating things. But I think the biggest impact that I see and personally that I'm feeling is my shift in being able to focus on higher value tasks. And, you know, so it's not necessarily that I'm losing out on things. It's that I'm saving time on these repetitive tasks and I'm able to focus on, instead of focusing on getting all of that information of that particular client across all of our different platforms, I can focus on researching that client, coming together with a bit of a strategy before I have that conversation with them so I can have a higher quality of conversation. So yeah, I mean, I think the impact that it can have on your business in terms of efficiency, but I think the impact that it can have on employee kind of job satisfaction as well, because you're doing more fulfilling work at the end of the day.
So true. And even on that sales process, like when they come through, when a prospective lead comes through, if you have a type form and there's 8 to 9 questions, well, you've maybe culled half of that sales call. So you can now get through double the amount of sales calls because you've already found out what the turnover is. You found out how many staff, what their marketing goals are, or whatever the case may be. That's how you need to think. Okay, cool. I've got this 8-step form. I've found out they can do X, Y, and Z, and you can really refine the sales process. So there's so much that you can get out of it.
Yeah, I agree.
And in terms of the CRM automations, they're actually really good with this stuff. There's heaps of zaps on Zapier you can do. I'm sure that it's the same for Make. Things like HubSpot, Monday, Salesforce is a big beast. But there's heaps of them, Pipedrive, whatever it may be. And also from the accounting and finance function, you can set up recurring invoices. They're probably a bit behind these other platforms in terms of automation.
Yep.
But they're starting to invest a bit of money there, and these accounting platforms are going to get better and better.
Yep. I think some of the challenges that I could see and that I have seen coming when you are kind of shifting into the automation space as well and is just understanding, choosing the right tools.
Yeah.
Choosing what works. And, with Inflection, we've just transitioned our invoicing software. But, maybe I could have done a bit more research, find out what the right tool is. But I think that that's something, there's always going to be another option out there. So that can kind of be a challenge, I think, is like finding what tool is right for you. And then I think like measuring the success rate as well, like understanding what that return on investment looks like. And so I think maybe thinking about certain metrics like time savings, cost reductions, are there is there a decrease in the errors that are being made? Is your customers, like your client satisfaction, going up as a result of the type of work that's being able to be completed? Increased output, those kinds of things.
Yep. Now to get a bit more practical and how it can be rolled out, I think to start, Miro is a really good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't want to if technology is a new thing, you don't want to do it on the computer, just pen and paper. Use a mind map, document the current process and identify any inefficiencies. And maybe we can just focus on let's pick one and we can run through the example. What are you thinking? Something we can automate. What about the review process?
The review process, that's a good one.
Yeah, because it's a good one because it's easy and you want to get those quick wins on the board.
Yeah.
So again, let's define the goal here. Our goal here is that after we complete a work item, so if we have, let's say I am an electrician and I get called out to a job and I use ServiceMate. Once I move that job to complete, I want to send the client an automated Google My Business review sheet.
Yep.
And the reason you want to start with these smaller ones is because, again, it gives you those quick wins.
Yeah. And I guess the benefit of Google, like using the reviews as this example, is that helps to build your credibility. It helps build your trust within the industry. And then not only automating a task that can be quite time consuming or quite manual, you're also then improving the potential of growth for your business as well.
Yep.
Because while straight after that customer has had that work done, this automated review request has been sent out. And because it's front of mind, that's something they're going to complete straight away. They remember exactly what their process was and how much they enjoyed the process with you. And then that review goes straight up to Google, and that's increasing your credibility and your trust within the industry.
Especially if you're a service-based business.
Absolutely.
And that process is so important. The reviews are so important. Like it's really a non-negotiable, and it's probably one of the easiest things to automate.
Yeah.
So I would strongly suggest to get on the front foot and even involve the team as well. If you have someone in the office, just let them champion the process. Spend a bit of time on it. And use the phased approach as well. You can't, I always do this. It's like you see like automation's like, I've got to do this, and this. It's like, okay, cool. Let's just focus on one thing at a time, break it down, and then just chip away at it because it really is endless. And once you think you've done all of them, you go, okay, cool. You go back to the start and go, how do we continue to refine this?
Yes.
And these are those high value tasks that business owners ideally want to be spending their time on. So strongly suggest doing it. And then once it's all done, like I said, you want to constantly measure it and see the overall impact on how this workflow automation has been working.
Yeah. And I think when you, again, going back to that impact, it is finding a certain metric at the start of this process. What are you trying? What is your goal of automating this process? Is it to reduce costs? Is it to improve time? Is it to increase customer satisfaction? Is it to get a higher output? What is that? So then at the end of it, you can evaluate it and say, cool, well, 3 months down the line, this is what this automation process is that we've adopted into the workplace. Has it worked?
Yeah.
If it has, fantastic. If it hasn't, why hasn't it worked?
Yeah. And if it hasn't, get feedback from staff.
Absolutely.
Get feedback from your customers.
Yeah.
If it's working, if it's not working. Everyone has those customers that are great and like you can ask them for that feedback and they'll be really honest with you and involve them in the process as well. So, hey, what do you think of this email? I know it's automated. Get as much feedback as you can so then you can go back and tweak it and constantly, again, you want that feedback loop to just be constant with all of your automation processes across the board.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And then I think the next thing is that return on investment calculation.
Yeah.
So I know we've kind of just spoken about that too, but yeah.
Yeah, super important. And you'll know as a business owner the tasks that you're constantly repeating, more so the staff as well. If it's a constant task that they're doing day in, day out, just have a think about it. Whiteboard it, get them to write their top 10 tasks that they're doing every day or once a week at the same time or whatever it may be. You want to involve them because they're the ones that are going to be doing it. And if it's just yourself, we'll step back and have a think, what am I spending all my time on?
Yep.
Can I automate some of this stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know you guys have implemented a few things at Grayspace as well. Have there been any sort of like common challenges in terms of implementing that workflow?
Yeah, I think revisiting it. A lot of the times I'll set them up and it's like, okay, cool, done. And it's set and forget. Like I'm just thinking now our review process, could be even more automated now. Like at the start, it's like, cool, include it in this outgoing email that goes out. But that's where it stops. If they don't fill it out, we don't send them another one. It's just sort of set and forget. So there's always room for improvement. Yeah. That's just my feedback. Just don't think, okay, cool, it's done now. That's it. Yeah. Constant feedback. And that way you can measure performance as well. If you want to say, cool, I want to get 5 reviews a month. Well, how many emails do you need to send out to get 1 review? Yeah. That way you can work backwards to work that stuff out and just tweak and optimize, always tweaking and optimizing. Yeah.
And so I guess it's just ensuring that those automated workflows can be flexible.
Yeah.
And that they can change. Obviously, businesses change, your business structure changes, your offering can, depending on your service, what industry you're in, your service offering can change. So I guess like making sure that those workflows can be adapted and can be flexible when they need to be.
The thing with automations as well is people can be resistant to change, and you just want to make sure you get on the front foot with that stuff too. I mean, if you've been doing something the exact same way for the past 5 years and then you've come in and gone, hey, we're going to implement all of these things, it can be hard, and you want to get on the front foot, address it's going to be hard, especially with the staff members that are going to be a bit hesitant to adopt the new technology. You just want to make sure you're on the front foot. You say, and you're identifying, I know it's going to be hard. I know it's annoying and it's going to be frustrating, but we need to be doing this stuff so your job can be easier. Like I'm doing this so, you can spend your time not on this stuff that's recurring and boring and there's no value. It's just about getting them in that same mindset as the business owner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Integration issues, that can be a big one too. It's hard because you just want to have some type of schedule, I think, because I've seen it before. I know you've seen it too, where the integrations break. It's only normal. There's no way around this stuff. Maybe just have like a maintenance schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I know the thing that we do, we use Make, and you can set up what's called like an error handler. And essentially just means that if something goes wrong, don't stop the automation, still send the information everywhere and get, like I said, if someone books in for, we're about to run an email webinar. So someone signs up to our email webinar. If that automation is broken for whatever reason, maybe that person entered their information wrong. Typically what it would do would be like, the email address was wrong. It freaks out and it stops. And then it won't start again until you go in and fix it. So what this error handler does is it says, don't worry about it. Still send the information everywhere anyway. And the email address will just come through incorrectly. Yeah. But the email address will still go into ActiveCampaign. That lead, the point of contact information will still go into our CRM software. So I think you can kind of, yes, these technical issues come up, but if you can kind of find a way to kind of manage those hurdles and those software glitches that happen all the time. I work in digital marketing. Facebook has so many technical glitches, and anyone that's listening that works in digital marketing knows exactly what I'm talking about. But so I think it's just a matter of like being able to manage those glitches.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Zara, I know there's heaps of things that can be automated in the marketing space too.
Yeah.
And I know in the discovery call, sometimes these are the things that you talk about.
Yeah.
So if anyone does want to book a discovery call, the link is in the show notes.
Yes.
Feel free to book a free disco call with Zara, and you can run through some of those automations, especially on the email side of things. I know there's heaps you can do there. So.
Loads. And yeah, I think one of the things that we do is we really look at where your business is at, what are some of those challenges, and then how can we, if email marketing makes sense, how can we implement email marketing in your business in a way that's tailored to what your customers want to be talking to you about.
Yeah, awesome. I think today's a super important episode. I think everyone needs to get on top of it. I mean, just start chipping away, even if you spend half an hour a week, and just start to automate 1 or 2 processes a week.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks for watching this video on the Rask Network. While you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get videos each and every day on business, finance, investing, and so much more.